Hey, Bonfire Premier Cup Series, this is your admin, Kevin Kyle, and I am proud to introduce to you your Season 12 primary sponsor, Animal House Customs. Get your favorite iRacing League logo or anything you can dream of on any hat or patch. Animal House Customs has a stitch for every itch. And in order to scratch that itch, visit animalhousecustoms.com or you can call Animal House Customs at 985-222-8065. Once again, that's 985-222-8065.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Bonfire Race League Premier Cup. It's season 13, and we're going to bring you our opener, the Puckett 250 from Kentucky Speedway. I'm Mean Gene Money. Today I'll be broadcasting with the Professor, Buddy Sully, and Jared Kelly will be producing for us today. That's right, season 13 Premier Cup action. Last season, what an exciting finish as we saw David Medina wrap up yet another championship by defeating the Final Four. David Medina, David Brenner, Joe Volpus, and Kyle Lynott. Gulf Coast Racing versus David Medina, and Medina comes out on top, the Godfather, picking up his third championship last year. Well, it's a new year and new drivers, new teams, new format. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. But first, hey, buddy, how do you like the temperature out there today?
It's scorching hot today here at Kentucky, and super excited to get season 13 underway. And it looks like we have quite a few drivers here today, too, for the season opener.
As always, attendance at a premium here in the Bonfire Cup Racing. While we get moving, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors this year. Animal House Customs returning to sponsor us for season 13. Big shout out and thank you to Ricky Mandela. He has a wonderful shop there. They can make hats, they can make shirts, all kinds of embroidery, motorcycle club jackets, anything you need. Animal House Customs can fill your order. Also, this year, new sponsor, the Swanley Golf Association. Matt Schofield, representing the Swanley Golf Association, generous donations to make all of our broadcasting and time on track possible. I believe that's a club out in the United Kingdom. What do you think, buddy? You want to go play a little links over across the pond?
It would definitely be interesting. I can say that I've not ever been on that side of the world. I have been to a couple of other interesting countries outside of the United States, but I think life's a little bit different over there.
Well, it's definitely more jam-packed, especially on a little island such as that. Now, I did make a little bit of mention of some of the changes we're going to have this year. The first thing, buddy, there's no chase at the end. We're going old school. It's going to be Winston Cup format, collecting points, paying off for consistency. Now, for those of you at home that think, oh, no, what about the holidays? That's not a problem. There will be 2 races that are allowed to be dropped for the drivers to handle familial and job obligations. But that new format, buddy, that's going to make for some exciting racing.
Yeah, it'll be pretty interesting to see how that plays out. Definitely quite a bit of changes going into this season. Last season, driver, you kind of had the playoff where you'd run a couple races and then all the points would reset. And now it's just going to run straight through. On top of that, we do have the pro drivers and the AM drivers this season, to where there's kind of a couple different brackets that people are racing for different championships in.
Now, don't worry, folks. That won't be too complicated. We say pro driver, we say amateur driver. That's pretty much just going to capitalize on the success and popularity of the Best of the Rest tournament we held at the end of season number 12. Basically, we've identified 12 to 15 drivers who consistently finish at the top of the field. Those fellas will be competing for their own tiny championship. And then the big championship, the amateur championship. Guess which class I run in, buddy? Yeah, that's right, the amateur championship as well. So the points will be listed side by side, and we'll separate them so you can see how the boys are faring up against each other. Also, lots of new teams this year. Kevin Kyle, our administrator, along with Jared Kelly, they have placed a team standing, and we've got a lot of new teams this year. We'll talk about them as we go, but don't worry, the big names are still there. Folcom Racing, of course, Gulf Coast Racing, David Owens and Vulpes and Lynott, all those boys will be there. Animal House Custom Racing, they now have a 4-man team. Newcomers, Euro Speed Racing, Pony Up Motorsports, and 7 Motorsports. And then another team, Ignition Point Racing. Now, it's a new team, but it's got some familiar names. Jason Landry, Jared Kelly. You can't go racing in Bonfire without those guys up in the top 5 pretty consistently. Joe Bennett, Captain Paul Ferdiani is going to finish off those 4 guys. And speaking of Jared Kelly, that guy pretty much won this race last year, didn't he, buddy?
Yeah, I think so. It was quite. I didn't run too much in this league last year, so it's hard for me to kind of remember what happened throughout the season. The one thing that I do remember, you talking about teams and drivers and stuff like that, was the championship race from last season where it was kind of Medina and a swarm of some of those Gulf Coast racing drivers like Vulpes and Owens and Lynott.
Oh, yeah, and David Brenner as well. Yeah, last year, that championship race at Homestead, we saw Joey Stiers take the win, first win of the year. David Medina, he finished 2nd overall, and that went ahead and propelled him to his Bonfire championship. Hey, look on the screen now. Nick Mills, he's back. That's another former champion right there, the London, Kentucky driver. Good to see him out there. And, big, heartfelt prayers for that part of Kentucky where Nick is from. They got hit by a horrible string of tornadoes just a couple of days ago. So it's good to see Nick and his family able to make the trip today. There's David Owens out there. David Owens, he did miss the championship for last year, but Mr. Zero Chill, David Owens, this guy, the face of consistency. Also, neat little thing. Looks like he gave up that number 11 to Joe Vulpes this year. Vulpes is going to drop the traditional number that he's run with, and now we're going to see Vulpes running the 11, and David Owens is going to pick up the 8 this season. So lots of changes, but lots of familiar faces as well. Qualifying underway. There's about 2.5 minutes left in qualifying. You can see Michael Serra out there right now. Serra also part of one of those teams. He'll be running that number 27. What is that? Hubba Bubba? Bubble Yum? What?
That's what it looks like to me, I think.
Well, one thing's for sure, he likes to chew that bubble gum. So that is another driver that we'll see out there. Sarah, part of that new 7 Motorsports team of Zach Engel, Sam Milliken, and Chris Smith. So lots of things we're going to have the opportunity to watch this year on the track. Couple of guys that have made some big improvements out there, though, that I want to talk about. Sarah being one of them. Also, Dennis Puckett has put down some really fast lap times as well. And Thomas Pierce. Thomas, he went ahead and in real life, he got the opportunity to run with some of those Euro NASCAR guys. So we'll see if his real life experience can translate over to the iRacing. Kind of funny to make that comparison. Usually we're talking about William Byron, his iRacing. Does it translate to the real track? But we're going to do it the opposite way with Thomas. We'll keep an eye on him out there today. But you got to think, buddy, going into this thing, it's going to be the usual faces. You're going to see Kelly, you're going to see Landry, you're going to see Medina, and then a whole gaggle of Gulf Coast racing fellas.
Yeah, it's this league is super, super clean. There's usually a whole lot of green flag racing, and it doesn't really matter which track it's at. You usually see the same people at the front consistently week after week.
Yep. Looking at practice times, Jason Landry did lay down the fastest practice time. Buddy, hey, look at you. You got the second fastest. David Medina. Ricky Mandela, Rookie of the Year, coming back for his sophomore season. laying down the third fastest lap, and Final Four participant Kyle Lynott, top 5 guys in practice. So expect to see them with some long run speed, but sometimes that practice speed doesn't always translate, especially when you get to running next to other guys. About 25 seconds left to qualifying, and then we're going to see who is officially named the pole setter. Right now, though, looks like Jason Landry, Buddy Sully is up on the front row. David Owens, Jared Kelly, David Brenner, Brandon Shelton. Good to see Brandon out there again. Remember, Brandon could only run part-time last year. So this year, he's looking to make a full-time run with Folcom Motorsports. You know, and those teams, it's going to be a little bit wily, buddy. You're going to need attendance because they're just going to add up the finishes of the drivers and then put that into the equation. So if you're a two-man team like Euro Sport Racing with Thomas Pierce and Matt Schofield, that puts you kind of behind the 8 ball versus those teams that have 4 drivers consistently every week. And there it is, final results of qualifying. And this is our official qualifying results. On the poles, going to be Jason Landry, the number 56 Ignition Point Racing driver. Buddy Sully's going to start outside on the front row. David Owens going to start 3rd. Jared Kelly will join him on the 2nd row. Brandon Shelton will start 5th. David Brenner in the number 22 Gulf Coast Racing Ford. He is going to be in 5th. In 6th, David Medina. He's going to start back in 7th. Zach Engel, 8th. Jose Medina going to start 9th. Nick Mills, good to see you back, Nick. Going to be starting in the 10th place.
Starting in 11th, you got Thomas Pierce. 12th, Chris Smorrell. 13th, Ricky Mandela Sr. 14th, Joseph Eunuchus. I have no idea how to pronounce that last name, so I apologize.
That's how we pronounce it now.
I can only assume that S is silent, so maybe I'll get a correction on that. But 15th, Jake Ashea. 16th, Jack Duval. 17th, Justin Malarkey. 18th, Mark Dumont. 19th, Michael Serra. And 20th, our very own Kevin Kyle.
21st position going to be Dennis Puckett. 22, Tommy Fox. Chris Smith's going to start in 23rd. Paul Ferdiani, 24th. Joe Volpus going to start back in 25th. Kind of a slow start there for Joe. We'll keep an eye on that number 11 car. Tim Darby going to start 26th. Kyle Lynott, 27th. And that is the last man choosing to qualify. After this, these guys didn't qualify. Matt Schofield, 28. Richard Swingle, 29. Gerald Rose, 30. And Stephen Neal going to start in 31st. 31-man field here for the Puckett 250 as they are now rolling off of the grid, out of the pit area and onto the track. High excitement here and high temperature, buddy. We alluded to it a little bit earlier, but we tried to adjust the humidity to not get a bunch of fog, and what that did was it turned this track into a lava pit. Going to be some high track temps out there today.
Oh, yeah, those qualifying times, I'd expect this race pace to be quite a bit slower because people are going to want to save those tires. It's going to be paramount saving those tires over the long run, or else it's just going to be loosey-goosey on the exits and really, really hard to control.
That is an official NASCAR term, my friends, loosey-goosey. Look it up. I believe Harry Gant used that initially. So 165 laps scheduled here today. There is no stage break or caution. This is for real. And speaking of this is for real, we are about to go green. Pace car is out of the way. Looking on that front row, Landry's going to control him. He's waiting for the flag man. Little bit of foolishness in the back of the pack. Tommy Fox takes it wide. Kyle Lynott has to take it low to avoid it. And we're underway live here in Kentucky. This broadcast brought to you by Animal House Customs. Landry's going to lead them down into the first turn. Buddy Sully on the outside, continuing to make pace. David Owens as well, trying to give it. They're bouncing off the wall, going down the backstretch. The men seem to have the car under control. Buddy Sully, he has that outside speed. He's going to take the lead going into lap number 3. Turn number 4. Sully with momentum finally takes control of the lead. Landry falls into pace, and it's going to be Buddy Sully leading the first lap of the Puckett 250.
Going into turn 1 here on lap 2, you got David Owens and Shelton there running side by side. Medina running right behind them. Down the backstretch, you got Brenner was taking a little bit of a look to the inside, I think, but people are just trying to be a little bit cautious here, fill out the tires, track temp, and just keep everything protected and calm, because the last thing you want to do is wipe out right in the front of the field.
Nobody wants to be that guy.
There's no fast repairs here, so once you're broke, you're broke.
That is a good point. The no fast repair should make these drivers more cautious. And these lap times are a second off what they turned last year. So that is how much the temperature is affecting these drivers right now dealing with this. Most of the guys trying to fall into single file, the inside lane, of course, being the preferred lane, but that outside lane is getting a little bit of love. I heard the drivers talk about dirty air, buddy, and that's a big thing. Could that invite you to go to the outside lane just to avoid that dirty air on the inside?
Yeah, so one of the things that happens with dirty air is it tends to make the car tight, and whenever you have a tight car...
Oh, contact! The 46 goes into the 54. Medina into the outside wall, spinning.
Oh, goodness.
Medina keeps it rolling, but woo!
I don't even think we got a caution off of that one. Whenever you're talking about dirty air, it tends to make the car want to push. And whenever the car is wanting to push, it makes you kind of unintentionally put more will into it to try to make the corner and hold your line and stuff. And whenever that happens on the exit, it has a tendency to snap the rear loose. So dirty air definitely affects the tires and just the overall handling of the car.
So dirty air sounds like a high school locker room. You do not want to get snapped in the rear. Up front, single file racing by our leaders, Buddy Sully. But look at Landry now taking a peek underneath. Buddy Sully's going to have that momentum on the outside, but Landry, he's known as a road course expert. No oval wins for Landry last year. He'd like to change that, but he's got a charging Jared Kelly, who won last year. Right behind him, Brandon Shelton, the law, ready to run those boys down as well. And then behind them, David Medina, David Brenner, that's a lot of Davids, buddy.
Oh, yeah, this league in general and this series specifically is packed with a whole lot of Davids. Handful of seasons ago, there was at one point, I think everyone was changing their name to David in Discord, which was kind of funny.
That'd be a fun David team. Meanwhile, it's not a David, but a Jason. Jason Landry has taken control. He's brought Jared Kelly with him, and then Buddy Sully leans back into third. So it's ignition point racing now with the big flex here on lap number 8. Landry and Kelly on that apron running that preferred line. Buddy Sully behind them, but not far behind David Medina. Medina last year led 75 laps at Kentucky, and then he got caught up in that iRacing update fiasco where they shortened the cautions. Medina, caught unaware, ends up going a lap down, finishing well back in the pack. So David Medina wants to make up for that, but to do it, he's going to have to get by Pony Up Motorsports driver Buddy Sully, and then the ignition point racing duo of Landry and Kelly. I tell you, if we said Batman and Robin, those two guys could come to mind. They seem to always be in a position to make something happen at the front of the race. Big shout out to Brandon Shelton running in 5th right now. Fast movers on the track. Stephen Neal, he's up 9 spots to 22nd. Now, Neal chose not to qualify, of course, but still, when you cut through traffic that way, you got to feel good about your odds here today. Michael Cera also on the move. He's up 6 spots into the 13th position. So Thomas Pierce, he's up 4 spots up into 7th. Pierce, he was a top 15 driver last year, so seeing him running up in the top 10, very exciting. You can see him doing battle there with David Owens. Owens, of course, running that new number 8. And behind him, look at Nick Mills as well. Nick Mills, former champion. Good to see him back out here as well as he takes it up high. Now, buddy, we're 11 laps into this. I hear you can make about 40, 45 laps on fuel. But how about those tires? Do you really want to go through a green flag run and not change tires? The drivers have 1 on the car, 5 in the pit. 6 sets total here today. You think they're going to jump on them every chance?
I think depending on how the cautions fall, is like this league is pretty clean and there's not really too many cautions throughout a race, so there isn't too big of a risk, I don't think, with whenever a caution comes out, just slap a set of tires on. And hopefully, like 5 sets, that's a lot to have in the pits for a 165 lap race. So it'll be interesting to see how people play this out.
Lots of different possibilities of tactics going to be used by the drivers today. A little bit of housekeeping update. Matt Schofield, he experienced an extended blink on connectivity, and that cost him positions on the track. Matt Schofield now being shown 1 lap down. 30 cars on the lead lap. Jose Medina is in 30th, but he is definitely behind the 8 ball after that early contact that he had in the race. Medina currently being shown 17 seconds behind the leader. And with 31-second laps, those boys are going to catch you very quickly. Landry, that last time, turning the 32.02. The guys behind him, 31.8 and 31.7. If you're wondering how fast they were at the very beginning, it was around a 31.4. So we're seeing 0.6 of a second drag off of their lap times already here coming up on lap number 15. And buddy, you can already see how that's affecting these cars. Look at Medina make the move on Buddy Sully up front, and that car wiggling as he makes the move. It takes superior skill and reflexes, I would say right now, to maintain any type of track speed, especially in turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, 3 and 4, it has a little bit less angle in the, or bank in the, on that side of the track. So it's a little bit more slippery coming off of 4. Right now, I think everyone's just trying to ease back into the throttle. The one thing that these guys don't want to do is get overly aggressive, and the car still somewhat feels comfortable, and coming back to the throttle too soon or too aggressively can snap that rear end loose.
Nobody wants to get snapped in the rear, that is for sure. No. Top 4 drivers really starting to pull away right now. That's Landry, Kelly, Medina, and Sully having a good time. A little bit back further in the field, you can see some nice action on the track. That's Thomas Pierce in the 46, running with last year's Rookie of the Year of Ricky Mandela. That is 12th and 13th place right there doing battle. Pierce was up a little bit further, but he started to fade a little bit as we've gotten deeper into this run. So most of these drivers are happy to settle in. Others still pushing to improve their position out there. And speaking of improving their position, look at the battle between Medina and the 55 of Jared Kelly side by side. Great racing action. Now, on that outside there for Medina, you think he might be able to carry that speed a little bit better, but inside car will take that air off of you, making it very difficult and loose. And as you see, these boys now, they've been side by side for about a lap and a half.
Yeah, there's that battle going on there for second place. And I've been watching a little bit further back around 17th and 18th place. Dennis Puckett and Joseph Volpes for the last 3 or 4 laps have been side by side. And they have Kyle Lynott right behind them. But this battle for second is looking like it's playing out exactly like that battle in the back is, because they're still side by side as Medina finally is able to overcome Kelly and get out ahead.
Yeah, it's amazing. We talk about dirty air, but another thing you have to take into consideration is the slight pulling effect, that slight drag effect. Oh, Puckett loose. He does manage to keep it on the track, and now he's up into Smith. Smith going sideways. This could be trouble. Smith, oh, and he smacks right into that yellow car as well. We've got trouble here on lap number 21. Look at Smith there on the bottom. Has to be disappointed. A good day. Whoa, the pace car almost destroyed him. Luckily, those things are intangible. And Smith slowly getting it around, and he is going to get her back on the track. Chris Smith, well, wait, now he's taking it to, here come the leaders. This is Buddy Sully right into the back of the 37. No, that is going to take that Pony Up Motorsports. Look at that right front damage.
Yeah, that's some bad damage. That's some catastrophic damage right there.
Chris Smith still on the track back there, smoking heavily. Buddy Sully milking that car around. So early contact, we saw Dennis Puckett get plowed up the track a little bit into Smith, causing Smith to lose control into that outside wall. Smith brings it back down, can't gain control in the center of the track, and Buddy Sully making heavy contact. Here we go. The pits are open. Leader's going to bring it down here on lap 22. Going to keep an eye on that 21 of Buddy Sully, though. That was serious. Look at that front end. That thing is not moving.
Yeah, it's definitely broken, I think, and I think Chris Smith also got quite a bit of damage off of that impact. We're sitting here looking at all the guys pitting. I think Jax Duvall stayed out. I think he was the only one that stayed out.
Look at that. The number 84 Pony Up Motorsports car deciding to stay out and go ahead and lead a lap. Why not? Get you some points. Especially, Winston Cup format point style. Leading a lap is definitely something that you would like to do. Leading the most laps would be wonderful, but just leading that first lap a good step on your way to obtaining more points for that season championship run. The lucky dog that pit was Matt Schofield as he makes his way around and gets up there. Fast movers after this little pit. Of course, Jax Duvall staying out there. He's going to be on old tires. We'll see how long he can maintain that front position. Other fast movers, Joe Volpes up 10 into the 15th spot. Pony Up Motorsports, Gerald Rose up 13 spots into 17th. And Stephen Neal continues his upward momentum, 11 spots from his starting position, currently in 20th. So interesting to see which guys taking chances to move up the field. But now we're going to see if the risk reward, buddy. Those older tires. Looks like pretty much everybody got tires that last time. I'm looking down the list. Jax Duvall, of course, not pitting. Everyone else taking two. Okay, Gerald Rose to move up those spots did not take tires. That's going to be the number 51 United States Marine Corps car. And a little bit further back, everybody did. Everybody except for Duvall, who didn't pit, and Rose, who chose not to take tires. So let's keep an eye on how fast that 51 and that 84 fade backwards. Word in from the pits, Buddy Sully done for the day. Took it like a man, walked with his head held high back to the trailer. Actually, he's walked over to the pit stall, and he's going to stay on with his teammates. So that's a good guy. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. You're talking about the laps or leading a lap and stuff. I know we're getting ready to go green here. But the bonus points are a little bit changed up now, too. And with the way the championship's going to play straight through, it'll be interesting throughout the season to see who sacrifices some stuff to get those 5 extra bonus points for leading the lap.
Hey, it'll be worth it in the long run. Here we go. Duvall, they're gridding up. Duvall hit the brakes pretty hard there, causing some of the cars to accordion. And here we go. We're getting ready to go underway. Jax Duvall leading him into the Geico restart go zone. And away he goes inside lane with a great jump. Duvall out to a 3-car lead. That's going to put Kelly and Medina side by side. Jason Landry in 4th. Directly behind them, Owens and Shelton side by side doing battle. Christopher Smorrell, David Brenner, Nick Mills, Zach Engel. That's your top 10. Here, 3 wide for the lead. Duvall now. Oh, he's into Medina. Look at the other Medina outside 4 wide for just a moment. The 55 of Jared Kelly trying to take control of the lead. He does, finally gets by Landry on the inside. Behind him, there goes Medina on the outside by Landry, and Jax Duvall slowly falling back. Looks like a caution. Zach Engel takes it down.
Yeah, whenever the camera switched over there, the way that he was bouncing, it kind of looked like he rolled over or something, but maybe it was just him catching the grass and bouncing through there.
I see Justin Malarkey in there as well. Malarkey, you know his speed after what he did last year, always a threat to win or get a top 10, so not how the 73 wanted to start his day. That is Justin Malarkey. Meanwhile, up front, we are still going to have Kelly, Medina, Landry. You know who this plays into the hands of has got to be the 84 of Duvall, because now he can come down into the pits and rectify that mistake of not pitting. So he got 5 bonus points for leading a lap, and now he's going to get his tires back. This guy's got to be happy.
Oh yeah, it definitely played to his hand a little bit. Instead of having to fall all the way back to the, I couldn't imagine how far back you would fall on old tires like he was on if this would have went green, but super quick caution, minimize the damage, not have to worry about going a lap down and being able to reset your tires and everything. Definitely beneficial for him for it to play out this way.
Well, buddy, if you're wondering how far you would fall back, you're not going to have to wait long because the 51 chose not to pit. So he is the only guy out there on old tires. That'll be fun to watch. Currently being shown in the 15th position, and he is on those older tires. Up front, though, Kelly, Medina, Landry, Brandon Shelton now moving up into 4th, David Owens into 5th. So Ignition Point Racing, Folcom Racing, got to be thrilled right now, and Gulf Coast only being represented by David Owens up in the front. But he's not far behind. He's got his number 22 Ford teammate of David Brenner in 7. The Privateer, Nick Mills, running 8. Thomas Pierce with Eurosport Racing in 9th. And Gulf Coast Racing, Joe Volpus, with his new number 11 Ford, is going to round out the top 10. Hey, how about this? Mark Dumont, he doesn't have Leclerc out there with him today, but he's still running in a credible, respectable 11th place. Dennis Puckett running up in 12th. Michael Serra 13. Stephen Neal 14. Gerald Rose 15. Tommy Fox 16. Jake O'Shea 17. Newcomer Tim Darby up in 18th. Joseph Uznikas 19th. Kevin Kyle kind of loitering in the back in 20th at the moment.
Yeah, it's so tough this is an extremely competitive league. It's an extremely clean league, but it's definitely respectable to be running in the top 15 or so here, especially where you're talking about having 31 guys. People are fast in this league.
Yeah, and with 31 cars out there, especially with the tap track temperature, gonna be rough. Oh, and word coming in, Jose Medina has received a black flag. He's gonna have to bring it back in. Currently being shown in the pit. He is on the lead lap in 26th, but nothing like a black flag penalty to take you off the lead lap. Pace car is off. Jared Kelly will be your control car. That is the 55 on the inside. Season reigning champion Medina on the outside of him. Landry and Shelton behind them. Here we go. And away we go. The 55, Jared Kelly with a great start. Going to bring his teammate Landry with him. That's going to let that third row be side by side with David Owens and David Medina. Brandon Shelton now making good work, as well as Brenner. Up front, Kelly, Landry, Ignition Point boys taking control of Kentucky here on lap 29 down the back stretch. Everybody's got gas and everybody's got tires. Lots of smiles on the fans' faces here at Kentucky Speedway. Through 3 and 4, Kelly's going to lead them. Landry behind him. Owens, Medina, Shelton, and it's going to be Jared Kelly leading lap number 29. Great action here today early in the Puckett 250 as these boys are laying down the lap times on this slick track. Starting to go single file relatively quickly. Little bit of side by side further back in the field. Look at Pierce put the move on Smorrell. That's the white 46 on the inside. Smorrell's going to try to fight back. Smorrell, a pro driver. Pierce, a rookie driver. Oh, they get together, and Pierce gets the better of that. Nick Mills and Joe Volpus go underneath Smorrell after that little wiggle. And then you can see the Canadian Mark Dumont riding up in 11th. That was some tight action, buddy.
Yeah, it was. And Chris Smorrell back there, he's still kind of stuck side by side. I think for the 3 wide right there between Lynott and Jax and Gerald Rose.
Yep, and you could see Lynott took the air out from the 51, sending the 51 up into the wall. Speed for the move, but it's worth it when you pass 3 cars. So what if one of them almost wrecks? Kyle Lynott and Jax Duvall side by side. Lynott gets control of his machine, powers away. The fresh tires on Duvall not paying off. That was for 15th, 16th, and 17th. Jake O'Shea back behind those 2 cars. Good to see him back out on the track as well. Then Tommy Fox and Matt Schofield. Let's look up front, though. There's David Owens now side by side with the 56 of Landry, last year's winner. Owens, though, wanted to make that Final 4. Disappointment from the pit of the number 8. He's willing to drive the tires off of that Ford here today. Kelly in the lead. Owens now powering his pony up into second position. Landry falls in behind him. Medina, Brandon Shelton continuing his top 5 run. And look at Pierce and David Brenner. Thomas Pierce now showing in the 6th spot as he is going to take that away from the 22 of Brenner. Nick Mills behind them. Volpus Smorrell. That's your top 10. How about Thomas Pierce today, buddy? This guy running in the middle back of the field last year, I think somebody spent some time practicing.
Yeah, I'd say it might be some of that real life track time too that's kind of carrying over to this, but he's found himself surrounded by some heavy hitters on the track right now, running where he's at.
Oh, he has forced the issue to get up in there. How about Mills and Brenner side by side? Now, I don't know, buddy. I've heard that before from our own Jared Kelly talking about that real life experience transcending over into iRacing. I mean, come on. You got a steering wheel and pedals, but other than that, they're extremely different, right?
Oh, yeah. You don't. I think the biggest difference is probably you're comfortable sitting in your house and you don't have the G-forces affecting you like you would in an actual car. And whenever you break something on here, you don't have to worry about paying out gobs of money to fix it.
Oh, now that's a true one. All right, so Brenner and Thomas Pierce, that battle is not over. Brenner just went into the back end of Pierce, got him a little bit loose. Pierce kept it on the track, but that did bunch up all the boys back there. You can see all the way back to the 10th of Smorrell running with Volpus. That is going to be very tight. Meanwhile, up front, David Owens now seeing that outside lane. I guess he's thinking the clean air is worth the risk on the tires. And it's David Owens into the lead, taking the throne from Jared Kelly. Owens now back down to the apron on that preferred line, is going to lead them around. Kelly with great momentum coming out of 4, but it's going to be Owens crossing. Oh, that's close. We might need a camera to see who led that lap. Owens still on the inside. That side-by-side, though, has slowed down the cars, as we can see now. The 9 of Medina bringing it up. How about Landry on the inside of Owens? Kelly on the outside with the lead. Landry side-by-side with David Owens. Oh, and oh, look at the lapped car jump down into the grass onto the apron to avoid trouble. Woo, that got squirrely.
Oh, yeah, that was really close. I'm sure that was a brown pants moment for Jared Kelly in the lead, because I think that kind of happened right there, right in front of him, to see a car shooting down the track.
Woo, checkers or wreckers moment indeed for Kelly, but he did not let off the throttle. Kelly in the lead. Owens and Landry side by side. David Medina still riding the apron, savoring tires and getting ready to move up. Thomas Pierce now running in 5th as he gets by Brandon Shelton. Then there's Brenner, Mills, Smorrell, and Joe Volpus rounding out your top 10. Up front, though, Kelly getting a bit of an advantage after that brown pant moment with the lap driver that's going to give him a half a second lead over the field. David Owens worked so hard to get up here, buddy, but he used that outside lane. Now, I've heard that's less input, so maybe the tires won't wear as much, but it seems to me from all the experts, the inside lane and the little bit slower speed is the way to keep the rubber on the tires. So I'm asking you, David Owens, how much of the rubber did he use to make those moves? And now that Kelly has that half a second lead, can he close the gap?
Yeah, running the bottoms kind of, it seems like it would be harder on the tires, but the top with the higher momentum, you put more sideways friction, I guess, on the tires. So it kind of wears down the higher momentum on the top is way worse for the tires than the little bit of extra wheel input on the bottom because of the slower momentum typically. But we're on a super scorching track, so I don't know if it really matters.
Yeah, you got to have to continue to monitor this. Meanwhile, Owens on the outside loses second place to Jason Landry, and now he has David Medina looking down on the inside of him. Thomas Pierce still into this group of cars. Then behind them, you can see side by side Brandon Shelton fighting with David Brenner. Gotta wonder now if Brenner, the Gulf Coast teammate of Owens, has data that says the outside lane can work. That's one of the neat things this year, buddy, is trying to keep a monitor on how many folks are in a chat with each other. If you got a secret, you don't want to share it with 10 boys. Perhaps just keeping it in your own team or team adjacent could help. Maybe that's what we saw there with Brenner for a moment, and that allowed him to get by Brandon Shelton without too much incident. Chris Smorrell, Joe Volpus, that's your top 10. And now fellow Gulf Coast driver Kyle Lynott making his way up into the 11th. So all of the Gulf Coast boys now in the top 11. Bochum, they've got all their boys up there in the top 10. So great team racing. We knew those heavy hitters of Bochum and Gulf Coast would be involved here at the Puckett 250 today. Puckett 250 brought to you by Animal House Customs for all of your embroidering needs. Also, shout out to the Swanley Golf Association for their support this year. Thank you, Matt, and all the good people at the Swanley Golf Association.
Now I'm watching David Owens here, and he's starting to fall back a little bit. He's under attack by Pierce and Nick Mills currently, so I wonder if he spent too much time on that outside. Now he's really starting to feel the effects of everything.
Taking it up high is just a risk.
And Nick was able to get around Pierce here, and I think Nick's going to try the outside maybe. Try to get a run down the front stretch and see how it goes. Into 1 and 2 is definitely a lot more comfortable to carry the momentum on the bottom than 3 and 4 is. So if I was Nick, I'd try to get a run going into here to see if I couldn't do something to David to force him to the outside in 3 and 4, because it's going to be really, really loose up there.
Both these drivers confident in their car's ability to take that high lane. You can see Owens there in the middle. Mills is going to bring it down and get a mouthful of dirty air. Not losing too much position, though, in the effort. That right there, Owens currently in 4th. Nick Mills in 5th doing battle. Single file from the leader all the way back to Mills. Mills' rear end got a little loose there. Got to wonder if that was a mouthful of the dirty air. Behind him, that's where it starts to get spicy. Brenner, Pierce, Smorl, Shelton, and Joe Volpus. Lots of single file now. These boys wanting to be cautious. Then as soon as I say it, Joe Volpus is going to take it up high, and he's going to go side by side with Brandon Shelton. Just when you think it's safe to blink, buddy. Just when you think it's okay to go get a soda, that's when the boys get going again. Speaking of the boys, how about Mark Dumont? He refuses to give up, refuse to lose, and that should be the theme of the 14 today, as our Canadian friend continues to make a great showing here today. He's out there by himself. He's like Ricky Bobby with no team, but he doesn't need a team, as he has got his number 14 Chevrolet in the 11th position.
Yeah, this lead pack here, Owens has been able to close back up to him. The pace has really fallen off quite a bit for the top 3 cars. So we kind of have a 5-car breakaway at the front here, where everyone's kind of running the similar pace. They're about a 10th or so different from each other, but I wonder if it's effects of the tires, or if the front 3 just kind of drove a little bit too hard and it's allowing Owens to come back to him, or if there's some type of fuel strategy at play this early in the race, because we still have 114 laps to go.
Look at lap times. They're close. Everybody seems to be running the same pace now, so no one should be gaining or losing very much. Thomas Pierce a little bit off of the pace. And back further, of course, I see Volpus, Dumont off as well. But everyone else, buddy, it seems like those tires have kind of evened out for everybody on the track.
Yeah, now it's going to be a difference of who can find clean air and who can't. Because I think the stuff holding this front pack up is, you can kind of see how everyone's running different lines through the corners. And I think they're just searching for clean air to get some downforce on the car.
So leaders up front, of course, Jared Kelly. You can see his teammate from Ignition Point on the outside being challenged by David Medina. David Owens trying to keep pace, and then Nick Mills just a little behind them. But as you said, buddy, top 5 just seem to be in a class of their own at the moment. Jared Kelly continuing to lay laps. He won this race last year. Looks like he wants to dominate this race this year. David Medina, he dominated this race last year. Looks like he wants to win this race this year. And then Landry on the outside of Medina. These 3 cars, you can throw a blanket over them. They've been so close all day long. And then David Owens, again, using that outside lane so regularly, making us wonder just how long he can maintain momentum, speed, and control of that number 8 Ford. Look how tight he is there with Medina as they go into the turn. And once again, it's Owens deciding to take it way up high. You can see how well Landry and Kelly go through there. Kelly making use of the apron, that preferred line. And then Landry will follow right in behind him. And here comes David Owens again with more momentum, but high. And he falls off the pace through the apex and then has a little momentum coming out. But look at that. That outside lane seems to be fading away there, buddy.
Yeah, one thing I'm seeing, I think Owens is still trying to kind of search around a little bit. Looks like he really likes the high side in 3 and 4, and I've seen him play with a few different things in 1 and 2, but I really think he's still searching for that clean air, get the car to rotate, not have a tendency to want to push wide.
Well, lapped cars might come into effect here soon, as I'm looking back and I see the two last cars on the lead lap 25 seconds behind the leaders. When these guys are turning laps of 32, you imagine that timer starts clicking, and we'll see if it comes into effect. Meanwhile, Landry doesn't need any lapped cars to help him. He dives down low, side by side with his ignition point teammate, racing down the back stretch, bringing it into 3. It is going to be outside lane Landry, outside lane Kelly, inside lane Landry. Outside lane's going to hold off. We haven't seen the 55 up there very much. I imagine he's got a little extra rubber on those tires. He's going to take that lap and maintain that outside position. He grazes the wall. That's going to give Landry the opportunity to look inside. David Medina behind them, waiting to see which of the teammates will finally pull ahead. Owens still close by. Nick Mills starting to fade just a little bit. Folcom teammate Chris Smorrell running 6th. Brenner, Dumont up into 8. Thomas Pierce holding on at 9. And Brandon Shelton 10th. That is your top 10. Up front, though, finally, Jared Kelly makes the decision. He'll take the crown, and he'll take the lead here on lap number 59. Medina looks outside Landry. Good racing up front, buddy, and really clean considering how slick these tires are.
Yeah, coming out of 4, the thing that gave Jared Kelly that little bit of a gap, Landry got loose on the bottom, and that allowed David Medina to get to his inside as he wiggled there a little bit again, and that's going to bring David Owens around the outside. I think Landry might be struggling a little bit with those rear tires on the exit of 4.
Yeah, you could see absolutely losing 2 spots, and now he's got the 24 of Nick Mills directly behind him. Little bit of a gap back to Smorrell. Hopefully Landry can keep this thing and get back into the rhythm. Rhythm's so important for these drivers. One little wiggle can cost you so many seconds. Looky there, and it doesn't look like Landry lost a beat. He uses the momentum, cuts down on the inside, and passes David Owens. What a move by the 56 there.
Yeah, that was he definitely had the momentum through there to be able to get by Owens. But we have a car on the inside wall.
Oh, it's Tim Darby, the rookie. He was on the lead lap. He was the last car on the lead lap, about to be caught by the drivers, the leaders, and that is going to bring out of 3.
I think Mean Gene's mic's having a little bit of hiccup, so going to bring out a caution here on, let's see, what lap are we on? Lap 62. It looked like Tim Darby was trying to stay off the racing surface and everything to hopefully not bring out a caution, but somehow the caution still came out even though it was on the racing or off of the racing surface. Got Jared Kelly in the lead, followed by David Medina, Jason Landry, and David Owens. Nick Mills rounding out your top 5. This will be an interesting pit strategy here because when they go back green, they're basically going to have 100 laps to go. Get upper 40, 47 laps, 45 laps, somewhere in there on a fuel tank. If someone can save fuel and it go green from here to the end, then there is the potential to only have one more stop here. Be extremely, extremely close on the fuel window, and I don't know if that's a risk that these people are going to want to take or not, but it'll be interesting to see. Looks like everyone's grabbing 4 new tires, full tank of fuel, and see how the remaining of this race plays out with 100 laps left.
I think everybody out there is very excited to get those 4 tires on their car.
I think so too. It was definitely, there was quite a few people slipping and sliding there.
But that is going to give all of those leaders an opportunity to get the fuel they need, get the tires that they can maintain the track position that they had. Guys in the back got to be happy, as well as this will re-rack them and give them the opportunity to face less danger from getting lapped. 22 cars currently being shown on the lead lap. We started with 31. Of course, remember, Chris Smith, Buddy Sully caught up early. Richard Swingle as well involved in that wreck. Justin Malarkey, Joseph Usnikas involved in early wrecks as well. Jose Medina with a little bit of a black flag fiasco, and Ricky Mandela Sr. as well with pit stop shenanigans, finding themselves a lap back. Tim Darby just had a spin. He was I don't want to say the cause, but he was the cause of that most recent caution. And there's Paul Ferdiani coming back into the pits to just get a little splash of gas. Maybe he's one of those guys you talked about, buddy. Might try to stretch this out into just a one more pit stop. But with the tires, do you really want to play that game?
It's rough. The slower pace and keep it in fifth. Trying to pull that strategy right here with 100 laps left in the race whenever they go back green. If you try to do that, you've already made your bed, and that's how whatever happens is going to happen. It's going to be, if it don't work out in your favor, it's going to be almost impossible to come back from that, because your pace is going to be so slow here. Trying to conserve enough fuel to stretch the tank out to at least 50 laps to kind of split this last 100 laps in half. So I don't know if anyone's going to attempt that, but that strategy is definitely there.
Well, let's find out. The cars are pretty much in the order they were in when they went into the pits. And here they are again. Jared Kelly, he is the driver. And away he goes. Oh, they bottle up on the inside lane.
Oh, yeah, they got stacked up a little bit there after third car back. Jared Kelly on the inside, Jason Landry they're kind of sitting there single file, wanting to keep everything calm for as I say that, Nick Mills goes to the inside of David Medina. Landry running on the outside. Jared Kelly still leading, coming to the finish. Landry cuts down to the inside. And I think Kelly led that lap to finish out lap 65.
Good racing here at Kentucky after our most recent caution, re-racking the group. Landry being shown as your leader, his teammate Kelly behind him. And now it's Nick Mills into third. He got by David Medina. Medina in fourth. David Owens in fifth. Gulf Coast teammate Brenner in a battle side by side with Brandon Shelton. And look at the cars as they look like a hornet's nest back there. There's the 11 of Joe Volpis on the outside of Mark Dumont. Kyle Lynott right behind them. And then the 12 of Dennis Puckett. Good run by Dennis currently being shown. Up in the 14th. Oh, Lynott gets loose, but he keeps it on the straight and narrow behind the cars. Double wide racing back around the 9th and 10th place position. Jax Duvall looking around the outside there of the 14 of Dumont. Then there's Volpis, Lynott, Puckett, and here's Stephen Neal now throwing his name in there. Up 17 spots into that position. Look how tight they are here in the back middle of the field. Up front, of course, single file racing as Landry leads now over his teammate Kelly. But right there where we have the camera, that is your most action, ladies and gentlemen. Jax Duvall, the 84, currently in 12th. Oh, and the 27 into Puckett. Goes into Neal, and they're spinning. Puckett up the track. Damage doesn't look too bad. He should recover from this. And Chad the flag waver is going crazy.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I noticed during that run is I didn't see anyone drastically falling backwards, so I don't think anyone was on that stretch at one more stop and try to get to the end. But this caution throws another wrench into that because now we're coming to lap 70. So now whenever they go back green, it's going to be 90, 95, 94 laps to go. So these cautions are making it more and more tempting to try to play that strategy, maybe hoping that it stays green.
Try to create the one more only.
Yeah. And it's always a gamble. You never know what's going to happen. It can either play in your favor or not play in your favor. See if anyone pits here to lose some track position or top up their fuel.
I would not be surprised. Why not? Just get the fuel, keep the tires, see where you go. Or hell, you got 6 pairs to start. Might as well get new ones as well. Here we go. Is Landry playing games? Is Kelly faking out? Is Nick Mills playing chicken? All of them. Oh no, look at Mills.
He says nope. And I would expect these guys right here are probably just going to top up with fuel.
Mills stays out.
They didn't have that many green flag laps on this set of tires. So we'll see here.
Mills stays out. Shelton, Pierce, Dumont, Jax Duvall, Michael Serra, Kevin Kyle, Gerald Rose. There's lots of people taking chances here today that there's going to be another caution. Inside the pits, though, Landry, Kelly, they're just taking a little splash. David Owens, David Medina, and they put them all together. David Brenner, Smorrell, Lynott, O'Shea, Schofield, lots of people going to play the game of maybe they will run green. You can see the 56 now coming back on there with his teammate, Kelly. Not too far off the pace, only falling back into 9th position and having more fuel than the cars in front of them. Other cars, though, have to be thrilled at this opportunity to run up there. Look at Mark Dumont, up 14 spots into 4th place on the same set of tires as everyone else. Sarah, Kevin Kyle up 13 spots, running in 7th, and Gerald Rose up 22 spots in 8th on the same set of tires. But I don't expect to see Sarah, Kyle, and Rose stay up there very long. Look behind them, buddy. That's Murderer's Row. Jason Landry, Jared Kelly, David Owens, David Medina, David Brenner, Kyle Lynott. That's danger. You're going to get ate up quicker than Pac-Man eats the ghosts when they turn blue.
Yeah, one thing to note here is those guys that you talk about, like Kelly, Landry, Medina, this is the first time that they've been put back in the middle of the pack like this. They've kind of been up front and had their clean air, so they've had to deal with the dirty air from a car or two here and there as for their running position or whatever. But this is the first time that they're going to be put back in the middle of the pack with numerous cars dirty air. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle the dirty air and if they can make it back up front or not.
Yep, and cars that are not traditionally fast. I'm looking at the best lap time. Kevin Kyle's best lap, 31.78. So that car in front of you could slow your progress when your best lap was a 31.47. So we'll have to see exactly how they cut through that traffic. But you can already see Lynott swerving his car, getting the tires ready to go. Brenner on the inside of him, getting ready to take this thing green. But it's Nick Mills right now throwing the Hail Mary, assuming we're going to see some more cautions. Mills on the outside in the 20. Brandon Shelton, the law is on the front row. On the inside, 20 will be your control car. Second row, Mark Dumont, Thomas Pierce. They're into the Geico restart zone. Mills touches Brandon Shelton and fires off like a cannonball. Mills out to a 3-car lead as he's going to lead them into turn 1. Shelton off the pace in second. Pierce on the inside of Dumont does get an advantage to make that space, but it's still Mills taking them down the back stretch now with a 10-car lead. He's already out to 0.4 of a second. Brandon Shelton closes the gap as they go into 3. Mills, Shelton, Pierce, Dumont, Duvall, Sarah, Kyle, Landry, Owens, Kelly. And it's going to be Nick Mills going to lead a lap and get him 5 bonus points in our old school Winston Cup points play. Nick Mills continuing to lead. Already look at Landry, Owens, Kelly, Brenner moving up through the field. And now Kevin Kyle gets overtaken by Landry, and he's got David Owens behind him next, wanting to put a move on that number 31 Folcom car. Look at Owens going around the outside, slowly fading back. Kyle trying to hold them off. They're on the same set of tires, buddy. You're in the same car, but some of these drivers just have a little bit extra in their brown pants, if you know what I mean. Look at Kelly close the distance now, using that outside as well. Ooh, and ahead of them, Jax Duvall is off the pace as he gets ate up by Sarah, and Landry continues to push forward. Landry up into 6th now. The ignition point driver quickly making his way through this field. Brandon Shelton takes over the lead from Nick Mills, and now it's the number 2 Folcom driver being shown as your leader. Every Folcom driver except for David Medina has led a lap now.
Yeah, I didn't quite see what happened there at the front, but it looks like Brandon Shelton has quite a lead on Nick Mills. So I don't know. Thomas Pierce here coming around the outside of Nick Mills. I don't know if Mills is getting loose, but he's definitely going the wrong direction right now.
He is, and you can see there Dumont looks down on the inside, and now Michael Sarah as well on the apron. Nick Mills, he's on the outside lane. We saw Owens make it work, but not at the speed Mills is traveling. And here comes Jason Landry. Landry trying to get by Sarah. Nick Mills on the outside with him. Behind them, Owens, Duvall side by side, slowing the progress of Jared Kelly. The ignition point driver running up front all day needs to get by this moving chicane, but instead he's watching his teammate make quick work of Nick Mills. Where are they, you might wonder? The 4 fastest guys on the track? Well, right now, Landry's being shown in 4th, Owens being shown in 7th, Jared Kelly being shown in 9th, and David Medina mired in 13th. Those were 4 fast guys earlier, and now they have to make their way through traffic. Speaking of traffic up front, side by side, it's Brandon Shelton with Thomas Pierce. Thomas Pierce, he's been the surprise guy of the day. Last year, not running in the front all too often. Today, running in the front all damn day. And now he wants to take the lead. Look at him make the outside work, buddy.
Yeah, he's running right up there. You got Mark Dumont up there, too, running in 3rd. Some guys that we're not quite accustomed to talking to at the front, I don't think, that are having a really strong race right now on lap 80 of 165.
Dumont with a 3:174, one of the fastest laps that last time. Of course, David Medina ran the fastest lap. No surprise there. Right now, side by side, Pierce and Brandon Shelton. Shelton has already led a lap. If Pierce could keep the momentum, it could be his turn. He's going to bring it around the restart zone. It's Thomas Pierce leading lap number 80, and that's 5 points there for the Euro Motorsports driver as he leads lap number 80. Thomas Pierce, what a turnaround from last year. The Euro NASCAR driver showing his progression, his progress, and now he's showing his skills at the front of the pack here at the Bucket 250, brought to you live by Animal House Customs. If you have embroidery needs, ladies and gentlemen, Animal House Customs can fill your order. And look at now, Dumont brings himself into the picture. Pierce, Shelton, Dumont. I love seeing these new names up front, buddy.
Oh, yeah, it's fun. And Shelton had a absolutely dominant run on the outside there and able to defend that position and get the lead back as Dumont takes over 2nd now. But right behind those 3, you got the guys that stopped this last time. So Owens, Landry, they've been able to make it through the traffic, and they're right back up there.
Yep, Jared Kelly, he's made his way up to 6. He's going around Pierce here as well. Thomas Pierce, that hard run might have cost him some rubber as he now falls back into 6th place. But Owens, Landry, Kelly, those 3 were so quick early on, now running 3, 4, and 5, just in a reverse order of what they did for so long. Owens looking around Dumont. Dumont's a hard pass, buddy. He's not just going to let you by. He's going to run that preferred lane. He's going to hit his marks. If you're going to beat him, you're going to have to find a spot where he messes up and the Canadian Frenchman not messing up all too often. Owens into the wall, the 56 of Landry. Tries to help David out. David looking on the outside. The number 8 Ford driver, so familiar with that outside lane. He's side by side. Dumont gets loose. Dumont maintains control of that car, but that was a scary brown pant moment for the number 14.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely white knuckles whenever these cars try to get loose like that. One thing that I am noticing is this whole race, David Owens, he's been running that top side. Landry's kind of favored the middle to the bottom. And somehow David Owens is just making it work. And anytime I try that, I always snap loose. I don't know if I'm
they're
too
4
aggressive.
wide. Kyle Lynott hits the wall, loses control, almost takes out Duvall, comes down across the front nose of David Medina, and he's down into the grass. Oh, tough break for the 988 there as they were 4 wide briefly.
Yeah, everyone just kind of came together right there, and there's only so much room on the track for cars to go, and it looked like Lynott was trying to gather it up a little bit, but whenever he was coming back down, Medina was just there and kind of clipped off the front nose a little bit.
Well, not everyone has the testicular fortitude to take it 4 wide, but Kyle Lynott does. Unfortunately, he ran out of track, went up into the wall, came down. Medina with the awareness to slow down, but he still clipped the rear of the 988, and the rear end snapped around, sending Lynott down. Lynott should be fine. I can see the car from my vantage point, and it appears that he will be able to continue here today. But this is going to re-rack him again, buddy. That lead everyone fought so hard for suddenly tightens back up. It's like a hangman's noose. You think you're wiggling your way free, and then they tighten it back up. You think you're free, and they pull you back in. Right now, Brandon Shelton, the law. He is your leader, bringing him down into the pits. And I think everybody's ready for 4 fresh ones after that last run.
Yeah, I'd expect people to take 4 tires here, another tank of fuel. We're only on lap 88, 86, just now starting 88 as we come across start-finish line in the pits. So we're still outside of the window to where we can stop here and make it to the end. Definitely still going to be at least one more pit stop. And if it goes green, it's going to be a green flag pit stop. Any type of a caution, like we were talking about earlier before the race, you got about 45 to 47 laps you can go. They still got 72 laps to go right now. So
you can see it.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say Ferdiani and Mandela up there by the pace car looking for a wave around, trying to get around the old-fashioned way, right? Skip a pit.
Skip a pit. Get the wave around. Oh, he stayed out.
Oh, Ferdiani actually going to take the lead here and get him some points. Good for him. Those 5 points will pay off down the road.
Yeah, if you... it's been a little bit since I looked at the schedule, so I don't remember how many races it is. But if you lead a lap in at least one lap in every single race, and you're getting five points for each one, that's a hefty little point count for bonus points going into the last race of the season.
Well, it's going to cost Ferdiani, though, because he last pitted on lap 71. 18-lap-old tires, so we'll see how long he can hold on. He's going to go on that high lane. but really crafty veteran move by the 33 to move himself up into the lead. Ooh, so here we go. Paul Ferdiani, the captain of Ignition Point Racing, and he's got teammates with him on the outside row. Look at that. The 33, the 56, the 55. Outside row, 3 Ignition Point Racing cars. Inside lane, Euro Sports Motor all by himself. That's going to be the 46 of Thomas Pierce. Behind him, the Law, Brandon Shelton, and then David Owens, and a few more Gulf Coast Racing guys coming into the picture. How about Kevin Kyle? He started off slow today, laid down his fastest lap on that last run, now finding himself up into 9th. Nick Mills rounding out the top 10. Lining up as the pace cars going to pull off the track. Paul Ferdiani on the outside. The 33 Toyota is the control car. He's got Ignition Point teammates 3 deep behind him. Coming into the Geico restart zone. And there's a tap, and look at the coordination by the Ignition Point boys. Batman, Robin, and whoever the third person is in the Bat family, Ferdiani. Ferdiani's going to go high and let Kelly and Landry go on by. It's going to be Landry dominating with Kelly behind him. 3 wide as cars shoot by Ferdiani. Ferdiani stays on the outside. No problems as the top 6 go on by. Look at Brenner now looking inside Pierce. Owens is forced to let off. It's side by side with Pierce and Brandon Shelton. Up front, Landry, though, continues to drive like a man on a mission as he has got now an entire half-second lead over his teammate of Jared Kelly. Action in the back of the field as well. Look at him 2 wide. Tommy Fox running side by side with Zach Angle. You can just see the action. Things getting chipper on the radio as well. Owens getting his mind's worth to people. So good action here in Kentucky.
Oh yeah, that was a really exciting start. It looked like they're towards the back of the pack a little bit. They were trying to go 3 and 4 wide. Everyone kind of kept it gathered up. Lynott had a loose moment, lost about 8 or 9 spots there, but no harm, no foul, just a little bit of falling backwards and recoup and reset and just keep your head down and keep on racing.
That's all you can do on a hot track like this. 27 degrees on that track right now.
Sounds like Mean Gene's having trouble with his mic again, so we're in the middle of lap 93 here, lap 165. We got Jason Landry in the lead, Kelly running in second, Shelton running in third. Brenner and Owens are going to round out your top 5. There's a whole group of cars back there, yeah. Looks like Pierce running with Kevin Kyle there. David Medina's in the middle of it. Mark Dumont. Some of the guys that was in the lead just a little bit ago kind of stuck in traffic here. Now, I'm pretty sure looking at the timing, I think everyone, pretty much everyone except Paul Ferdiani took tires there. And he's fallen all the way back to 20th place now. So he's kind of in that gaggle of cars going on back there.
Well, he did get the all-important 5 points, and sometimes that's worth it. And besides, buddy, he's only 1 pit stop away from being on freshies again. 1 little caution can change it all around, and then those 5 points seem like a miracle. Meanwhile, fast movers, Joe Volpus up 10 spots, 15 spots into the top 10. Mark Dumont continuing to run strong here today as well in 9th, and side-by-side racing, Kevin Kyle and the 11 now of Joe Volpus. Behind them, Zach Angle also putting down great lap times. Mostly, a little wiggle up front as Dumont gets jiggy with it, but holds on. You can see now the tires heating up as they come and hit the brakes going into some of those turns. I saw a little glare coming off of Dumont's car after that last wiggle. Lots of single file racing as we look through the field here. Getting a little bit deep further back, though, you can see the 51 and the 988 and the 61 of Schofield on the outside. Lynotte's going to peek under. That's going to get the 51 loose. 77 of Shea, and there they go.
Around goes the
988 again involved in the caution. 51 hits the wall, brings it right into the pit.
Yeah,
988 still rolling. He should be fine. 51, though, I think that toe link is done. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Now, there was another car. I think a Shea also involved in that.
Yeah, his car don't look too bad. I think he was right there around the whole thing, too. So, we're coming up on lap 100 of 165. We're getting closer and closer to the all-important 45 to 47 lap mark or left. I would expect to see some people come in here and top off with fuel. Maybe not. Track position might just be more important than the little bit of extra fuel you might get.
Well, unless you're Paul Ferdiani, and then you're really thrilled because now you can come in and get those tires and you don't fall off the lead lap. That'll give him the opportunity to stay up with the rest of the boys.
We did have one guy come in that was not part of that accident, but Thomas Pierce came in for a pit stop on that lap. So he's going to have a little bit fresher stuff than everyone that stayed out. So curious how that works out for him. And it does look like he's taking 4 tires as well.
No different strategies coming into effect here today. But up front, it's still Jason Landry being shown as your race leader. We're on lap 99. We're going to 165 here today. So plenty of laps, plenty of racing, but definitely one more pit stop in order for the boys, even if they manage to keep this thing green. Lights are off the pace car as Landry is going to lead them around. His teammate in second place. Behind them, the Law, Brandon Shelton. Strong day for the number 2 Chevrolet driver. David Brenner being shown in fourth. His teammate David Owens in fifth. Nick Mills shown in sixth place. Chris Smorrell, the Folcom driver, top 10 all day long, being in seventh. David Medina still looking to lead his first lap. He is our reigning champion. David Medina are currently in 8th place. Mark Dumont, he's in 9th out there by himself today. No teammates, and he don't need them the way he's been driving. Joe Volpes, he's got a new number, but he's still in the top 10. Zach Engel, 11. Kevin Kyle, 12. Dennis Puckett running in the front, shown in 13th. Jax Duvall, he'll be full-time this season, up into 14th. And Michael Serra, that's your top 15 right now as we see them on the backstretch.
Yeah, looking at that top 15, some of our biggest movers in there is Joseph Volpes. He's up 16 spots right now. Stephen Nils up 15 spots. Matt Schofield is up 10. That's kind of our biggest movers of this group right here at this point of the race.
This in from the radio, it looks like Rose is done for the day. Tough break, Pony Up Motorsports, and losing 2 of their drivers. Buddy Sully, their only pro, out early after that contact with the 37 of Smith, and now Rose down as well. Down 2 drivers, but they still got Jax Duvall and Jose Medina out there doing battle. Speaking of teams, how about Ignition Point Motorsports? Jason Landry, Jared Kelly in the front row. Landry, he is the control car as he's going to lead him into the fake Geico restart zone before they get into the real Geico restart zone. The 56 is in there, and away he goes. He gets a good bump from Shelton. That's going to let him into the lead. Enough space for Kelly to fall in behind him into the preferred lane. Brandon Shelton side by side with Brenner as they go into 1 and 2. Brenner still stuck on the outside. Nick Mills is going to try to fit it in between Brenner and Owens, and he does. Look at this 3 wide turning into 2 wide. Brandon Shelton now with a run underneath Jared Kelly. They door each other. That's going to force Brenner outside. Sheldon holds his line. Kelly takes it all the way to the wall but keeps her straight. Landry leads lap number 101. It's Landry, Shelton, Kelly, Nick Mills still doing battle. David Owens, David Brenner, David Medina. Why do they keep driving together, buddy?
Yeah, I don't know. They keep fighting each other. And one thing all this hard racing is going to do, side-by-side stuff, it's just going to let Landry drive away.
Landry, the beneficiary of all those Americans not making up their mind. This is why we need a king and not a president. I'm kidding. Jason Landry now taking advantage. And behind him, Shelton in second, but Mills and Kelly still side by side. David Owens, David Brenner behind them. They've got to figure this out. That last lap, Landry with a 31.69, able to continue to maintain that lead. Nick Mills also with a quick lap as he got clear of that mess. So now Mills gets by. Kelly follows in behind him. Kelly's going to cut down low. He's got Brenner behind him. Brenner now looking below the 55. The 55 getting ate up by Gulf Coast Racing as Owens tried to go around the outside of him. David Owens, he's on that top wall. Look at Puckett. Oh, and Puckett goes high. Jax Duvall, nowhere to go, goes right into the back of David Owens. And that's Duvall now with the damage. He tows. Buddy, that's 3 of the Pony Up Motorsports cars now in the pits with a meatball.
Yeah, that's no good. We got Jose Medina left going for us, though.
Jose Medina now the champion of this new race team. Other race teams, though, have to be thrilled. Landry, Ignition Point, up front, still looking. He didn't win at the Oval last year. He'd love to get one today. His teammate Jared Kelly, 8 up by Gulf Coast Motorsports that last little turn, buddy. He had 1 on the inside, 1 on the outside. It was a Jared Kelly sandwich.
One thing about those Gulf Coast guys is they're fun to race around. They race you tight.
Is that another way to say aggressive?
Yeah. They race you tight and they can be aggressive, but they're clean about it. I've not ever ran into any issues really with any of them. Some people like racing like that. Some people don't like racing like that. I don't mind door banging a little bit. It makes it fun.
Hey, nothing as fun as door banging and 4 wide on a slippery track. And that's what we're seeing here today by the Gulf Coast boys. Up front, Jason Landry, Brandon Shelton. I haven't seen the police this much since I watched an episode of Cops. Behind them, Nick Mills and David Brenner. Kelly, Medina, Smorl, Volpus, Dumont, and Puckett makes it through the incident with Jax Duvall and Owens to maintain his position. David Owens will have to keep an eye on that rear end after he had that heavy contact with Duvall. Duvall did come down the track, make contact with the 47 of Zach Engel, and I think that, I'm hearing on the radio, is the end of the day for the 84. That heavy contact there at the end with the 47 going to end his day as well. So still lots of cars on the lead lap as we are maintaining pace here. Lap 106 from Kentucky Speedway, brought to you live by Animal House Customs. Animal House Customs, able to fulfill all of your embroidery needs. You got a team that needs hats, you need shirts, you need jackets, you need patches. Animal House Customs, they can take care and fill all your orders. Also, this broadcast brought to you by Swanley Golf Association. The good boys over at and ladies at Swanley Golf If you want to play golf in the United Kingdom, give them a call and they can take you out. But, buddy, you got to buy your own clubs, and I hear those things are like 2,000 euros.
Oh, they can definitely get expensive. Definitely, I'll stick to my sim racing stuff. Then I don't know what it would be like trying to hit a little ball and then go find it whenever I can't control where it's going.
It's the most money I ever paid to get that angry. That is for certain. 21 cars on the lead lap as we make our way around here on lap 107. We are racing the lap 165 here today in the Puckett 250. Of course, this is our initial race, first race of the season. All of the honors go to the winner here as it is a crown jewel event, a coveted cup that will go home to today's winner. Last year's winner, Jared Kelly, currently in 5th place, mired by other cars. Look at the damage on many of these cars as they have little scuffs and door marks on them. Front row, we're looking at Landry and Shelton. Shelton threatening all day. He's led laps. Landry threatening all day. He's led laps. Into the Geico, the fake Geico restart zone. Now they're into the real Geico restart zone. And away we go. It's Jason Landry out like a cannon. What a jump by the inside lane. Nick Mills is going to go with him. They've got 2 lanes over the outside of Shelton, Brenner, and Medina. Oh, Mills goes under Landry. Almost makes contact. Mills gets loose. Going to lose momentum. He goes high. That's going to let Brandon Shelton draw up closely behind him. Jason Landry going to lead him into 3. Mills gets his momentum back. 1 car length back. Brandon Shelton in 3rd. Going to look up high. Side by side behind them, you can see Kelly and Brenner. Up front, Landry's going to lead them down through the restart zone, and he's going to lead lap 109. Landry in front of Nick Mills. Little chatter on the radio between Mills and Landry as they reacquaint themselves after a long friendship here in the Bonfire Premier Cup League. Behind them, Shelton, Kelly, David Brenner now in 5th. David Medina in 6th. Still can't get by the boys in front. Chris Smorrell. And then it becomes a gaggle of geese. Dumont, the 8 of Owens, the 11 of Vulpes, the 46 of Pierce, and the 12 of Puckett. All these cars with scuff marks, and that just makes us exciting for the remainder of this race, buddy.
Oh yeah, I was sitting there looking at Vulpes's car. It's going to take me a long time to get used to him running that 11, but the paint scheme that he's running right now, every time that I've seen it so far during this broadcast, I can't help but to think of Denny Hamlin.
Yes,
with his FedEx
I think it's
car.
on purpose. I think it's on purpose. Oh, and right there, heavy contact. Pierce right into the back of Puckett. Both cars maintain momentum, but that was definitely a fine how do you do from the number 46 Eurosport racer. Oh, and look at him go under Puckett. So tight there. Woo, that was close. I think that was tighter than a frog's butthole. Stephen Neal now looking at Puckett as Puckett, Pierce, and Neal all close. And then look behind them. Kyle Lynott, the 27 of Sarah, and the 33 of Ferdiani. That is the battle for 15th through 17th. Great racing here at Kentucky. Speaking of great racing, look at Landry as he settles in and starts hitting his marks. That last lap, buddy, he was 1/10 of a second faster than Nick Mills and the other guys making chase. You got to start wondering if Landry can keep this up. Will any of these guys have the answer? Kelly cannot get by and engage in this race again. David Owens, he's faded back to 8th after that contact he received in the rear from Jax Duvall. So starting to see the players fade away, but David Medina as well hasn't led a lap yet. Very strange turn of events. Usual faces out front. This might be a hard face to catch.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we're seeing Landry is having the benefit right now of clean air. Everyone else is kind of we haven't had a really long green flag run in a while, so a lot of these guys have been stuck side by side, and you got rubber getting put down on the track. You have some guys, that outside is just able to hold the momentum and carry the momentum off of the exit, where those guys on the bottom, I think, are struggling with a little bit of loose off, and they're not able to get as much momentum off of the corner without dirt tracking it.
26 laps on these tires for many of these drivers. Other drivers like Lynott came in on lap 98, so he's only got about 18 laps on his. And then, of course, Tommy Fox coming in on 105. So we're expecting to see Fox, Ferdiani, and Kyle Lynott with a little bit faster cars, considering they should have had that opportunity to take tires. And you can see there Lynott and Ferdiani making their way around Stephen Neal on those faster tires. Kevin Kyle still battling as hard as he can, but on those older tires, it makes it very difficult. You can see him there on the outside of the 27 of Michael Serra. Ooh, and Serra gonna bring it right up in front of Kevin Kyle as they continue to do battle here on laps 116, as we're gonna go to lap 165. This race, of course, is on the Vortex Racing Network. Mean Gene Money alongside the Professor Buddy Sully and Jared Kelly producing, as always, for Bonfire Racing League, bringing you this Sunday morning Premier Cup of our crown jewel and season opener here at the Kentucky Speedway. It has been a story of Landry and Kelly. Right now, Kelly back into fourth. Landry being shown as the leader. Nick Mills trying to make Chase Landry now with the lead up to 1 second. Mills slowly fading. Brandon Shelton and Jared Kelly. Kelly now on the inside. Finally gets by the law. He's going to bring David Medina with him as well. This race is going to get spicy. One more driver separating Kelly and Medina from Jason Landry. Nick Mills either needs to find some more juice in that engine or get out of the way, because that tsunami of Jared Kelly and David Medina is coming towards the shore.
Yeah, we're getting ready. We're on lap 119 of 165 right now. So whenever Landry crosses this line, we're going to have 45 laps to go. And 45 laps, that's kind of about that fuel window we were talking about, where from about this point forward, if they stop and take a full tank of fuel, if it goes green, everyone will be able to make it from this point. Whether that happens or not is yet to be known. But
yep, and you can see the pits are active as well. Looks like Angle. Oh, I'm showing a bunch of people in the pits that are really out of the race.
I think we might be getting pretty close. If people think the track or the rest of this race is going to run green, that they might try to short pit some of these guys, knowing that they can make it on fuel and try to make up some of that time on this back end. But 45 laps, that's a lot of laps to try to go on a set of tires whenever the track is the temperature of the surface of the sun.
Very good one there. Landry now with his lead at 1.68 seconds. Kelly and Medina have gotten by Nick Mills. You can see there from the in-car of Mills looking forward at Medina and Kelly. But that gap so huge as we are now trying to catch up to Jason Landry, the Canadian with a great run in the 56 Toyota. Has to love the traffic that impeded the progress of the other two fast cars. Landry, Kelly, Owens fast all day long. David Medina sniffing. He's like the little kid sniffing the apple pie, but he hasn't been able to take a bite. He's so close. Maybe now. Maybe a caution. Re-rack them and get these boys back together, buddy. We'll have to see. Meanwhile, Nick Mills still trying to hold on to that thing like a wild pony, because now he's got David Owens looking on the outside. Behind him, Thomas Pierce continuing his great day. Then Brandon Shelton, David Brenner, Joe Volpus, Chris Smorrell. That's your top 10. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Mark Dumont right behind Smorl, still sniffing the top 11. Ooh, and Dumont's going to get awful close. Here we go. Look at all these cars slipping and sliding, buddy. This thing is looking like an ice skating rink.
Yeah, these cars towards the front, the person that has the freshest tires out of this whole group up here is actually Thomas Pierce. He has about 11 lap fresher tires than everyone else around him. I think Jason Landry's been able to pull out this gap. He hasn't really had to race everyone like all those other guys have. So I wonder if all that racing it's definitely hurt their tires a lot more than Landry has had to hurt his tires to kind of maintain the position that he's in.
Something that cannot be overstated is not just the dirty air, but the damage it does on your tires. Outside lane, still a question mark. There is rubber out there allowing the cars to travel, but how will that affect the long-term run speed of your car as the rubber wears off at a higher rate on the outside? Landry gonna lead lap 125, continuing to just pile up the laps led. Of course, points are awarded to the car who leads the most laps. Jared Kelly led so many laps in the beginning of this race, and now it appears his ignition point teammate also going to be a car that's going to take advantage of that rule. Kelly now in third. David Medina pulling away just a little bit, and you can see David Owens now taking sight on Jared Kelly. Single file racing here as we have been green for an extended period. Good racing that spreads out all of the cars. Still 21 cars on the lead lap. Tim Darby, the last car, Jake Ashea, the last car on the lead lap, only 12 seconds back. So lap traffic should not really be an issue here at this stage of the race.
I was sitting here watching some of these battles further to the back. Mark Dumont just had a moment where he almost completely wiped out coming off of 4. So they're definitely struggling with the tires. Our closest racing going on right now is a combination of 6th and 7th, and then there's a whole group of cars around 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Dumont continuing to push the pace. Now the car to look at in that group there by Dumont has to be Tommy Fox. Fox pitting on lap 105. Should have tires that are 18 laps to the good of those other guys. So the 57 should be able to hug and accelerate just a little bit better than those competitors. And here we go. Business is picking up. The 988 of Lynott coming in. He's ready for some tires. He's going for that short pit and see what he can do with that work. Lynott was running 13th when he came into the pits. So we'll just have to see how this early pit strategy pays off. We've been green for a while, buddy. Why not? Why not come in? Why not short pit? Get some hot laps coming out.
Yeah, I'd imagine Lynott kind of making that call, I think, is going to start bringing a lot of these guys in within the next 3 or 4 laps, more than likely. I would say our green flag pit stops are well underway right now, where people's just wanting to make it simple, pit, run it to the end, and see what happens.
Here's Mills and David Brenner. Those two cars got very close to each other coming through 3 and 4, both of them having the same idea to bring it down into the pits. Here comes David Owens as well. He is choosing this opportunity to come down and get his 4 freshies and a little bit of fuel. I'll tell you, there's still a lot of laps to run, buddy. Would anybody risk right sides only, or is it 4 because this track is hot?
Oh, Dennis threw the grass right there. I don't know.
The grass is on fire. Look, the grass is burning.
Whether 2 or 4, I think there's too many laps left still with trying to do a 2-tire stop. Especially like you were saying with the track temperature and everything. That track temp, it's wearing out those left sides just as much as the right. And unless you've practiced what the car feels like with offset tires like that, there's no telling how the car will even handle and if those left sides would hold up for the 32 laps that we have left.
Lots of racing remaining. Lots of cars still out there making use. The short pit strategy now in full effect for some of these drivers. Other drivers, they're going to push it a little bit farther and see if the caution will appear. The 11 of Joe Vulpes, he's getting 4 freshies. 31 of Kevin Kyle, he's going to be coming out of the pits right now. Lots of strategy going on as we are live here at Kentucky Speedway, lap number 134, as we're going to race to 165. 32 laps remaining. Oh, that's a lot of laps on these tires.
That is definitely quite a bit of laps on them. The people that I would expect to kind of push this out a little bit would be Thomas Pierce. He pit 11 laps after everyone else. And then you got Paul Ferdiani. He also pit at the same time that Thomas did. And then you have Tommy Fox that has the freshest tires other than the guys that are pitting right now. So those 3 guys right there, I'd expect to see them try to push this out as far as possible. Hope for a caution, maybe trap some people a lap down and kind of flip this thing on its head, because whenever you're in a spot like, you got to try something different, right? You can't do the same thing everyone else is doing, or else nothing happens. So you got to take chances, and it either plays out the way you need it to or it don't.
Exactly. Meanwhile, I'm watching the 56. Great pit speed coming in. Looks like he's going to hit his mark perfectly. Jared Kelly will take over the lead for just a moment. Let's watch Kelly's pit stop. Let's see what he can do here. He's down below the apron. He's going to drop the speed. Look at him hug the line perfectly. Bam. Hits that marker, hits that cone at exactly the pit speed. This is how you become a champion. This is how you win races, by maximizing every opportunity. Ride that pit speed of 45 and watch it go to 46 periodically. Make that speed exactly that moment as you hit the coin. Hey, if you need to light them, it's okay, because you're about to get 4 fresh ones. Great stop there by the 55 of Jared Kelly. Meanwhile, up front, buddy, it's exactly what you said. Thomas Pierce, he's stretching it out. Currently being shown as our leader, getting him some more of those lead laps. Gonna get the 5. I don't think he's gonna catch Landry and Kelly for most laps led, but gotta feel good for the 46 of Pierce to lead those laps. Behind him, Paul Ferdiani, just like you said. And in third, Tommy Fox. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one, buddy.
That's the way I would play it. The other thing that these guys that stayed out, they have to pay attention to the lap times that they're running versus these times these guys on fresher tires are running. It's kind of a double-edged sword in a way, because you're hoping for a caution, but the more that you stay out hoping for a caution, the more that, in this case, those guys that just got tires, they're 3 seconds faster than Thomas is, so they're closing that gap 3 seconds every single lap that Thomas stays out. If there's not a caution, that really messes some stuff up. If there is a caution, then everything kind of equalizes, and there's the opportunity, if you want to take it, to try to pin some people down a lap down.
That's a great way to pass them. And you could see exactly what you're talking about. I was watching Tommy Fox that last run, and he got passed by Medina and Landry pretty quickly. And so right there, you can see the 57 on the outside. Just look how quickly those cars on the inside, Nick Mills goes by, Brenner goes by, and even Mandela back there in the 3, even though Mandela is being shown a lap down, he's still going to have better speed coming into there. Actually, Mandela pitted back on 76. Boy, that guy pushing it hard.
Oh, yeah. We have Landry and Owens coming up on Thomas right now to kind of get their lap back the right way, or the long way, I guess you could say. And they're going to be able to go by him like he's sitting still, and that's just more track time that you're giving up lap after lap. If you stay out there and let it bleed that much, you really need a caution to kind of reset yourself. You can be faster there towards the end the longer you stay out, but whenever you go from the lead to losing all this track time, it's really, really hard to get back up there inside of the top 5 or so without a caution to help you.
Yeah, absolutely committed. Thomas Pierce, the 46, committed to run this thing dry at this point. You're watching how quickly people are going by him. The 2 Medinas shoot on by, and that means he needs that caution. Tommy Fox also remaining out on the track. You might be wondering about those lap times. Thomas Pierce ran a 33.12, whereas Landry a 31.44. So you're talking about 1.8, 1.7 seconds a lap. That is just not sustainable. Gonna need that caution to come out. He can push it a little bit further. Tommy Fox could go even farther, considering he pitted on lap 105, 6-7 laps after Thomas Pierce. Meanwhile, it looks like most everybody else has taken the opportunity to come in, except for Pierce and Fox. As I look down the list, Kyle Lynott, one of the quickest to come pit, back on 128. Everyone else around 130 to 139. Here he is, Thomas Pierce, finally going to bring it down. That is going to relinquish control to Tommy Fox. And it's going to be Tommy Fox, leader at the line. Buddy, that paid off, right? Those 5 bonus points, definitely something that a driver would like to accumulate, especially here at the season opener.
Absolutely. Tommy Fox, it worked out, and at least he got that lap led. Now he needs a caution to kind of stop the bleeding. The one thing the running order, once all this cycles through, it's going to be Landry's going to take over the lead again. It looks like he is about a second and a quarter or so ahead of David Owens. Owens should take over second. Medina is going to take over third. The thing to note about that is Owens pit on lap 130, and Landry and Medina both have the freshest tires out of those 3 because they both pit on lap 135.
And you can see there now Kyle Lynott fading back. Remember, he pitted on 28 a few laps earlier than those cars around him. So triaging for the 988 at this point, trying to maintain as front forward of a position as he can. Up 19 spots into the 8 is the 988 Ford Gulf Coast driver Kyle Lynott, last year's Final Four participant. Up front, Tommy Fox continuing to try his best, but he's a full 2.2 seconds slower than Landry and Medina, trying to chase him down. That gap to 12 now. But how about this? Landry with a 2-second gap over David Medina. So if Landry can cut through this traffic easier than Medina, it's not Jover, but it's awful close. Jared Kelly as well battling, just kept by Nick Mills there, trying his best to close the gap as well. Tommy Fox continuing to leg this thing out. He's muscling that 57 around, but you know his arms have got to be screaming, it's time to pit.
Oh yeah, I'd expect to see him within the next couple of laps. He has to be getting pretty empty here. We got 17 to go, 16 to go whenever he comes around the line this time. It don't look like he's pitting yet, so I think he's just holding on to that hope that there's going to be a caution.
Maybe he's got that Joey Logano fuel line from Atlanta.
And then if there is a caution, a lot of those guys that would have been trapped a lap down, they're back on the lead lap with him. A lot of them, it looks like all the way back to 18th is on the lead lap with Tommy Fox right now. So that's not any cars that he's going to be able to trap a lap down.
No, at this point, he's just praying. It's the strategy has left town, and now he's just thinking, gosh, let me stay on the lead lap. He needs a caution to stay on the lead lap more so than pin anybody down. But hey, you threw the Hail Mary, you caught the ball, but it just didn't go into the end zone. But still, great day, great strategy for Tommy, as he is going to pick up the 5 bonus points for leading a lap. But the unresolved question behind is Landry. Can Landry hold on to that 1.8 second lead he has over David Medina? Behind them, unfinished business, David Owens with a gap over Jared Kelly. Kelly fast all day long, just seems to get caught up. It seemed like right after he got in that Gulf Coast sandwich, Kelly's luck just turned, and he was not able to cut through traffic quite as quickly as his ignition point teammate. Landry just having a all-star day here today. And meanwhile, if I said this to you, buddy, you never would have believed me. David Medina doesn't lead any lap. Like,
not yet.
Is he going to wait till the last lap and just make us all mad? Or happy? I'm sorry. Or happy, depending on your perspective. There's Tommy Fox, finally going to bring her down, and that's going to let Jason Landry take over. Good Hail Mary, Tommy. We all enjoyed it. Congratulations on those 5 bonus points. And now it reverts to what we were accustomed to seeing. Ignition point racing in the front. It was the 55 for a while, and now it's the 56. Behind them, David Medina trying to close the gap. It's down to 1.38 seconds. It's clicking away. Last lap, 0.3 of a second faster was Medina. Let's do some math. He could catch him.
Yeah, he's been slowly closing that time or that gap down a little bit, and we still got 12 laps to go. This lap is kind of hovered about 500ths or so, almost a 10th. Definitely still enough laps to get it done, I think, as long as there's some patience and Medina don't get outside of his head and try to overdrive it, trying to close that gap, thinking that he's run out of time.
Yep, Medina 6,100.
On the other hand of that, Landry is watching that relative and watching that time. So just as easily as Medina can try to be a little bit aggressive to get up to Landry, Landry himself could be thinking, oh my gosh, here comes Medina. I need to pick it up a little bit. And that could be all Medina needs. And once these tires are done, they're done. There's no recovering from it.
And we're looking at it, the telemetry, the last 2 of the 3 last laps, Medina was faster. Landry actually 2/100ths of a second quicker that last lap. And we were watching that gauge around 1.2 seconds. A closer battle, though. Look at Kelly drawing in. That's the in-car of contact with Owens. Kelly's going to bring it down. He maintains his momentum. Owens as well. Just a light touch. That's just rubbing, and rubbing is racing. Kelly maintains that inside line, going to take over the 3rd spot. David Owens maintains that 4th place position. Kelly would love to catch back up, but he's looking at a 7.7 second gap, and he was actually 3/100ths of a second slower than the other 2 guys in front of him. And once again, I think you're right, buddy. Landry able to be 2/100ths of a second faster as well. Hey, there's Tommy Fox again on those fresh tires. He's got to be happy.
Yeah, I think these guys on the front area, in the front, they're just kind of wanting to run this thing out. Further back in the field, around 13th, 14th place, we got Dennis Puckett and Stephen Neal kind of running side by side for the last couple of laps.
Good to see hard racing out there. Kyle Lynott, Joe Volpis, really tight with each other as well. Good action out there on the track. Look at Mandela taking it down low. He's got a little bit fresher tires, so he's not too concerned with that situation. but tires starting to get a little bit slick, especially for the fellas who pitted earlier in the last part of this stage. And there's Vulpes now. Again, Mandela, he is a lap down. Ooh, little contact there behind them. Touching the wall. That's exciting. Oh, and Neal almost makes contact with Puckett. Puckett able to keep on going. That was a scary moment. Brown pant moment here on lap 159. And that battle is for 13th and 14th. Up front, though, let's take a look again at that gap. We're looking from the in-car of David Medina. He's got it down to 1.1 seconds. He is back and forth on these laps, buddy. I think you're right. I think Landry, watching the telemetry, knows when Medina starts to close the gap, and then he can just goose it a little bit. Medina, the veteran, not going to burn his tires up trying to catch this guy, but those laps are counting down. This is lap 161, racing to 165. This is the last 5 laps. If you're Medina, though, do you risk a top 5? Do you risk a podium to try to close the gap?
I don't think so. I think Medina's pretty comfortable with where he's at right now. And if I was in his shoes, this isn't like we don't have the playoffs this time, and this isn't a win and end type of situation. So it's all about consistency. Consistent finishes, whether you win or not, is going to be monumental whenever it comes to the end of the season. So if I'm Medina, I'm not going to risk anything and just take my P2 and let it be. Unless Landry makes some type of a mistake. That's the way that I kind of see this playing out. If we don't get a caution, we still got 3 laps to go, though, so anything can happen.
Anything can happen here at Kentucky. Landry, lap 163, bringing it into turn 3. Just got to hit his marks right now, maintaining that 1 second lead over the Godfather, David Medina, through the Geico restart zone and across the start-finish line. That was 164. Ladies and gentlemen, they are getting so close to the end of this race, getting ready to wrap up the Puckett 250. It's the ignition driver of Jason Landry. He is currently being shown as your leader. Whoa, a little bit of activity. Dennis Puckett into the pits. He's out of control. Bringing it back onto the track. Oh, boy, brown pant moment. Meanwhile, white flag is taken. That is scary back there. Landry's going to take that white flag, buddy. He is in. Oh, and Puckett. Oh, my word. He towed right at the moment necessary, so Landry didn't drive a hole through him. Lots of brown pant moments. But now Landry 2 turns away. Last year, the ignition point driver, no wins on the oval, said he wanted to address it. Here we are, first race of the year, and it's gonna be Jason Landry winning at the Kentucky Speedway. The number 56 driver with the win. David Medina gonna finish second, and Jared Kelly finishing in third. What a finish, buddy.
Yeah, that was exciting. It was an exciting end of the race. And if anyone's curious about what happened to Thomas Pierce and how his pit strategy turned out, he ended up coming back up to P6 for the finish here on the way his race turned out after staying out all that extra time.
Well, he didn't lose too many positions. Got to be happy for him. 6th place, great finish. So let's go ahead and give you the rundown on there as Landry going to celebrate the first win of the season. And as always, that is going to come from with a trophy from KK Woodworks. That's right. You want a trophy made? You want it made out of wood? Call Kevin Kyle Woodworks, KK Woodworks, and they can take care of your needs. And there it goes, the Animal House Custom Donuts by the winner of Jason Landry. Gotta be excited here today to take that first win of the year. And here's his teammate, the 55 of Kelly. Kelly led so many laps as well. he would have loved to have been up on top of that podium, but if it can't be you, it might as well be your buddy. And there he is, touching him right there. Ooh, little T-bone action as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Landry, he had to go very quickly, but we do have Jared Kelly here with us. Hey, Jared, can you hear me, buddy?
Here we go. Got my mic working.
There he is, Jared Kelly, third place today. You led a lot of laps. You got to be, cautiously excited about what happened today. You had the opportunity to talk to Jason. How was he feeling?
Oh, he was pumped, man. It was his first. He got that one win at Sonoma last season. That was his only win season long. He's usually fast here on the old. But yeah, we're just working together. Luckily, he was able to hold off Medina there and dodge some of that late race chaos. So I know he was all pumped up. He says it's a great way to start season 13 and great teamwork by both me and Paul Verdiani. We gave each other opportunity much point good. Definitely working all together to save tires. Yeah, car fell a little loose there on old tires. Try to maintain steady pace, not to put hard. A couple scary moments. 1-3 wide with Mills and Owens. Another last lap with one car halfway across the racetrack and turn. Jason Lane telling me. So, but yeah, great showing for the brand new team. IPR. So, we definitely had some jokes. Yeah, great.
Woo, there it is, IPR. Coin it right now. Get a trademark, get a copyright, get a patent. Because I got an idea, I got a feeling, buddy, that you're going to see those guys all year long knocking on that door. David Medina going to come home in second. No laps led for David Medina. No extra 5 points, buddy. That's pretty wild. So let's bring up the final race results here for the day. There it is. Unofficial, of course. We're going to have to get the MRL officials or BRL officials to look this over. Jason Landry going to take the win. David Medina second. Jared Kelly going to be third. David Owens fourth. David Brenner in fifth. Thomas Pierce going to finish sixth. Brandon Shelton going to finish off in seventh place. Fokum driver Chris Morrill going to go eighth. Nick Mills, privateer, highest privateer today, going to finish ninth. Kevin Kyle, strong finish with a 10th place. 11th is going to be Joe Volpus. Kyle Lynott 12th. Michael Serra 13th. Stephen Neal 14th. Matt Schofield, that's the top 15.
Mark Dumont finished in 16th. Paul Ferdiani, 17th place finish. Jake Ashea, 18th. Tommy Fox, 19th. That's not a bad finish considering Friday night he was on top of a couple of cars in the ARCA series.
I'm upside down.
Jose Medina was able to come back from a handful of things that didn't go his way and finish in 20th. Dennis Puckett 21st after the mishap with 2 to go or 1 to go or whatever it was, and up until that point he was kind of hanging around there in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Engel 22nd, Ricky Mandela 23rd, Tim Darby 24th, Jack Stuval 25th, Gerald Rose 26th, Joseph Yosmakis. Did that sound right? Did that sound better?
We're going to have to interview that. We're going to have to interview that guy just to clear that up.
27th, Justin Malarkey 28th, Buddy Salee 29th, Richard Swingle 30th, and rounding out the results of the field was Chris Smith in 31st.
So long day for some of these teams and a great day for others, but no day greater than any for Jason Landry as he quickly puts his name on a trophy and is now, you can see there, at the top of the board. That's right, championship standings. You can see Jason Landry, Medina behind him, Kelly, Owens, Brenner, And we can break those down for you later on the next broadcast to show how those points were distributed. But the big thing that you can see is exactly how the gap works. Kelly led laps. Medina did not. And that's that difference that allows Kelly to close the gap and have the same amount of points as Medina. Now, I believe what we're looking at here is the pro standings. We talked about pro and amateur. So this will be for the pro trophy. Of course, you can see those names you're familiar with, but look at how the points kind of break off at the end. The poor performances of Buddy Sully, Justin Malarkey, and the no-show of Stiers really put those boys behind the 8 ball as far as catching up to the other pros. Now here, this will be fun as we look at the amateurs. Bang, and there it is, Thomas Pierce with that dominant performance there over the other amateurs. Brandon Shelton, he was up there as well. I shouldn't say dominant. And then Michael Sarah, Neil Schofield, many other, all the way down to Chris Smith, who participated. This list will, of course, be updated as those who participate and not those who say they might make it. Here's your points coming out of it. Gulf Coast Racing, what a great day. Folcom, no surprise behind them. Ignition Point as well. Those three teams, I think they're going to be the class of the field here. 7 Motorsports, Eurosport Racing, Pony Up Racing, and Animal House Custom to bring up the rear. A lot of these teams missing drivers, of course. Michael Benton not making the trip here today to Kentucky for Animal House Custom. So those are more points that they would have had on the board. And then Eurosport only having 2 drivers. So hell of a day for those guys, considering only are putting up those points. So, buddy, any final thoughts as we walk away from Kentucky here today?
So it was a long race. It was a little bit of a longer race than what we're accustomed to, with it being the season opener and stuff like that. This race is usually ran a little bit longer intentionally. It didn't disappoint. There was a lot of strong racing. There was a little bit more aggressive racing than what I'm used to for Bonfire, but hey, that makes it fun and exciting, right? It'll be interesting. I think next week we go to Charlotte. That'll be a fun one, and then week 3 is Nashville Super Speedway. So couple of exciting tracks coming up, and it'll be fun to see how all that plays out. I can say that the Folcom guys are really strong at Charlotte.
Well, a lot of guys. Charlotte, a great track. Nashville, and then, of course, Michigan following that. So Gulf Coast, Folcom, all those guys. And hey, buddy, how about this? We're going to wrap up the season at Daytona. Now, Winston Cup points, of course, so it is consistency, but it'll be fascinating to see the boys wrap this thing up at the end at Daytona on those wide open super speedway. My takeaway is this: as always, the top drivers just seem to make it up to the top. Surprises today, Thomas Pierce. That guy improved so much here today. Want to see if he can bring it in next week as well. You know who else looked really good was Dennis Puckett. Puckett had a great day all day long. Just got loose at the end, forced to tow, and that's what made him lose so many positions. Going to be fascinating to see if this is just a big step up in the driving abilities and finishability. Just want to see him close the chapter strong next time. So Dennis is another guy we're going to keep an eye on. And the strategy we saw, those drivers pushing the car to lead a lap just to get those 5 points. So that'll be something we'll have to keep track of toward the end of who led laps and who didn't lead laps in the battle for the championship here towards the end of the race. But for today, Jason Landry brings home the bacon. Sorry, Brandon, didn't mean to say that. Brings home the championship as he finishes in the top here. The Ottawa driver putting it on for IPR. What a great race here today. That's going to wrap us up from Kentucky, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of myself, Mean Cheating Money, the Professor Buddy Sully, Jared Kelly doing all of our production, our sponsors, Animal House Customs, as well as Swanley Golf Association. And don't forget our admins that make this happen. Dennis Puckett, Kevin Kyle, and Jared Kelly. Thank you so much, everybody, for making this possible. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy the All-Star race this afternoon, and we will see you next Sunday. Bottoms up and hammer down.